about to read Psalm 105, and it's ironic that we're doing this now as we start the book of Exodus on Sunday mornings, because Psalm 105 just walks us through the events of the Exodus. I'm just going to read this because it's a longer one. This section of Psalms has some longer songs in it. So I'm not going to give a whole lot of commentary, other than on the front end, here's what I want you to listen for. I want you to listen for how much suffering was involved in this story of deliverance, and how thankful the psalmist is now that all of that had happened back then. Their suffering resulted in praise by the psalmist thousands of years later. Psalm 105. O give thanks to Yahweh, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. Sing to him, sing praises to him, tell of all his wondrous works, glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek Yahweh rejoice. Seek Yahweh and his strength, seek his presence continually. Remember the wondrous works that he has done, his miracles and his judgments he uttered. O offspring of Abraham, his servant, children of Jacob, his chosen ones. He is Yahweh, our God. His judgments are in all the earth. He remembers his covenant forever, the word that he commanded for 1,000 generations, the covenant that he made with Abraham, his sworn promise to Isaac, which he confirmed to Jacob as a statute, to Israel as an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I will give the land of Canaan as your portion for an inheritance. When they were few in number, of little account, and sojourners in it, wandering from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another people, he allowed no one to oppress them. He rebuked kings on their account, saying, touch not my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. When he summoned a famine on the land and broke all supply of bread, he had sent a man ahead of them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. His feet were hurt with fetters. His neck was put in a collar of iron, until what he had said came to pass. The word of Yahweh tested him. The king sent and released him. The ruler of the peoples set him free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his possessions, to bind his princes at his pleasure and to teach his elders wisdom. Then Israel came to Egypt. Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And Yahweh made his people very fruitful and made them stronger than their foes. He turned their hearts to hate his people, to deal craftily with his servants. He sent Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen. They performed signs among them and miracles in the land of Ham. He sent darkness and made the land dark. They did not rebel against his words. He turned their waters into blood and caused their fish to die. Their land swarmed with frogs, even the chambers of their kings. He spoke, and there came swarms of flies, and gnats throughout their country. He gave them hail for rain, and fiery lightning bolts through their land. He struck down their vines and fig trees, and shattered the trees of their country. He spoke, and locusts came, young locusts without number, which devoured all the vegetation in their land, and ate up the fruit of the ground. He struck down all the firstborn of their land, the firstfruits of all their strength. Then he brought out Israel with silver and gold, and there was none among the tribes who stumbled. Egypt was glad when they departed, for dread of them had fallen upon it. He spread a cloud for a covering and a fire to give light by night. They asked, and he brought quail and gave them bread from heaven in abundance. He opened the rock, and water gushed out. It flowed through the desert like a river. For he remembered his holy promise, and Abraham his servant. For he brought his people out with joy, his chosen ones with singing. And he gave them the lands of the nations. And they took possession of the fruit of the people's toil, that they might keep his statutes and observe his laws. Praise Yahweh. The suffering of Israel results in praise for Yahweh and the thankfulness of his people. I suppose this would be a good time to bring out, since this is the Monday morning gospel, that this story is not its own point. The point of the Exodus story and the wandering and the generation in the wilderness, that the point of that story is not that God preserved them. That's one of the main points, but it keeps going. There was a true Israel. His name was Jesus. He was the real man who wrestled with God, because he wrestled our sin to the ground and presented it to God with himself as a perfect offering. When the true Israel, Jesus, offered himself up He suffered in ways that we can't imagine, and yet here we are giving him thanks for it, and it resulting in praise to God. So we see these repeating storylines in Scripture. The story of Israel points us toward the gospel. So again, I'll say, as you go to work or wherever you're going as you're listening to this, remember how much suffering went into the good news that we proclaim, not just in the past with people, but also specifically with Jesus, and how that is a living promise that God will take our suffering and work all things together for good. I know a lot of you guys are going into situations you don't want to go into today. I'm sorry about that. It is temporary, and God redeems absolutely everything. Just see Psalm 105.